played clearly through the speaker. To his mom or dad, it sounded like he was home. He always bragged about it. Kaya had never actually tried it, though. Hopefully, it worked. In a rush, she unbuckled her gravity gear, ankle straps, gloves, and chest plate, and folded them into her backpack, along with the cloak. "Ready?" Ryan asked. "Let's go." Her friend knew the side streets and tunnels of Ridge City better than anyone. Most people shuffled along with the crowd or rode the boats and ferries along the painfully slow waterways. Ryan? He had mastered all the shortcuts, and now he led Kaya through narrow, curving alleys, down dark stairways to passageways below. You had to be careful when you hurried along these routes. Pick the wrong time of day and a flood might rush through and carry you out with the trash. "Hurry up," he called back. The air smelled of metal, and the stone ground was wet and coated with grime. Ryan was running. This was risky. One wrong step and you'd slip and smash an elbow or knee. "Slow down," she called to him. "Not a chance." They cut left and right, and when they arrived at the old theater, Kaya was dripping with sweat. Loosening her clothes had only helped so much. Ryan was studying the building with his hands on his hips. The sign over the entrance was crooked. A few letters were missing, too. Green mold grew along the sides of the rough rock wall. There were 2 large windows above the entrance, high above the ground, but neither one looked like it had been opened in years. "This is it?" she asked. Ryan thought for a moment before responding. "I think so." Kaya clicked her belt again, then shook her arms and legs. Her sweat-soaked clothes dried instantly. She had expected crowds outside, or at least a few people. After all, this was an elitist show. The woman used to tell her stories to audiences of thousands. Then the government began shutting down her concerts, claiming that her tales were too revolutionary, too dangerous. Of course, Alida insisted that they were just stories, but were they? Years ago, people bought tickets months in advance to see one of her performances. Now her shows were free and held in secret, announced only hours before they began, and sometimes canceled even faster if the government found out. Ryan had alerted Kaya earlier that a performance was happening at this theater. Now she wondered if it had been called off already. "Are you sure this is the right place?" she asked again. He was quiet for a second, doubtful. Then his expression lightened. He motioned to a group of a dozen or so people hurrying out of a dark alley behind her. The group hustled past the 2 kids. The last of them turned back toward Ryan and Kaya before stepping inside. "Won't be many seats left," the woman said. "What are you waiting for?" The theater was a wide cave with high ceilings and long rows of polished stone benches. At least 100 people crowded the main seating area. A few dozen more packed onto the balcony above. "2 seats down there," Ryan said, pointing to the 3rd row. The lights on the stage glowed brighter as they sat. The rest of the auditorium grew dark. The crowd began to applaud as Alida walked slowly into the middle of the metal stage and sat on a small stool. Her hair was long and curled and white. A kind of energy shone around her, and there was no introduction. She didn't need one. Kaya's grandmother had told her that when Kaya was little, her mom used to tell her Alida's stories at night. Supposedly the idea was to help her sleep. But instead, her grandmother said, they had infused her with wonder, excitement, and a burning desire for adventure. She was always bouncing on her bed at the end, and question upon question streamed out of her. Apparently her mother was only too happy to answer them, and in the end, it was her father who came in and tried to calm her excited brain so she could sleep. Sometimes Kaya wondered if the stories weren't meant